Right, so the National Assembly is made up of 400 MPs, with the ANC having the majority. We know 249 MPs. The opposition basically need 201 votes for this no confidence vote to be a success and to remove Jacob Zuma. In a similar motion, however, and we said this before the break, this was held in, I think, November last year. This was not a secret ballot, though, but we saw an overwhelming majority. I mean, it was 214 in favour of Zuma staying, 149, or 126, I beg your pardon, voted against. But then there were a lot of absentees that day. There was approximately 58 that didn't vote at all, and one person abstained. So, yeah, talk to me about these numbers, because that was also a bit of a wasn't really touch and go. I mean, that was a foregone conclusion.
Yes, and certainly the fact that it was an open vote made a big difference. Wherever I've spoken to people this time around, to MPs, they said the only chance of a surprise is if it is a secret ballot. We have the secret ballot. We know the ANC has tried to beat people into line, whip them into line to get them to do the right thing. Yeah. We do not know whether that's actually going to materialize. And there Julius Malema's claimed that there could be 70, 80, for example, especially backbenchers, that could be in support of the motion. Certainly nobody, I would love to be proven wrong on this one, nobody knows the ANC backbenchers as well as from the opposition, as Julius Malema does. He knows who had been demoted as mayors, as provincial executive committee members, those very unhappy people who are sitting so far quietly in the backbenches. If there's any chance of today turning, it would be people who are not happy with Zuma, the way Zuma has handled them, who will be changing the total lineup. That remains a small chance, but yes, it is these ANC people and how much they've got to lose, very often personally, from today's vote. It is beyond today's debate for them whether the ANC is going to lose or score in a longer term. For them, it is what happens to them personally. And I'm afraid consciences and voting in terms of conscience, even if there is the scope for him to be brave, in terms of what Justice Mugeng also pronounced a few weeks ago, even if there's opportunity, I think they see the odds stacked against them, and they want to remain in there for this last stretch, possibly up to 2019, if they're very lucky.
Yeah, Professor, let's wrap this up. Give us your final closing words for today.
Yeah, well, I think for most members of the ANC, it's a question of what message are you sending out? Because they're also going to be looking at 2019. The language that the opposition has been using is really about the collapse of the ANC. And if you talk about the collapse of the ANC, they have a self-interest in the preservation of the ANC. So some of those issues will be the issues that the caucus of the ANC will be putting on the table. Because what you need to do is to show that the ANC can be pushed from outside. And the argument that had been raised even by alliance partners is to say you elect and you remove, and you do not outsource that to the opposition. Yeah. And they had failed so far. So the question right now, the panic that has occurred, it creates a possibility where the ANC can be defeated, and it can be defeated through other means. So what needs to happen is that they should have such a deep-seated dislike for the president for him to go, or the love for the ANC. So again, it goes back to that simplistic, are you going to sacrifice one person? Yeah. And at the expense of the ANC or the ANC, so that's how it comes on. But what I know is that a language by the opposition that says we want to defeat the ANC is not going to, even if you've persuaded some people within the ANC, they still think that it can self-correct, and they still see it as an answer to transformation. So any suggestion by the opposition that you want to collapse and defeat the ANC actually creates a sense of loyalty, and that notion of saying we are revolutionaries and there's an NDR and all, they'll start talking that. But I do think that an issue of self-interest will also come in. What does it mean for me?
Absolutely. Professor Sipho Seepe, thank you so much for joining us here on the program, and your analysis has been fantastic for us. Professor Susan Booysen, thank you as well. Do you have a 30-second closing for us as well?
Yes, indeed. This is such a pivotal moment for the ANC, and they not actually know when situation. Even if they win the vote today, in the longer term, they are sacrificing credibility with voters, which is at a critical low. They need to be seen even to be condemning the president, and the MPs are not doing a favor to the ANC by staying with them, but then also, indeed, they are mobilized around the party political mode, and they will want to preserve the party, warts and all, today.
Let's leave it there. Thank you again. And 2 o'clock this afternoon, that's when that's going to be happening. Of course, it'll be covered live here on the SABC, every radio station as well, and there'll be in-depth analysis ahead of it and certainly after it. Take care of yourselves out there. Marches, protests happening all over South Africa. So just look after yourselves. We'll be back with you again tomorrow morning. Goodbye from me.